Hello there everyone, and welcome back. Sorry for this delay. I've just been so busy. But anyway, here I am. And today I thought we would have a look upon how I stepped out of one paradigm into another one, out of one worldview into a completely another one, out of one perception to another one, and these are complete opposites. And in part, because they are complete opposites, I was able to make visible a fragment of myself, a part of myself which had been completely unknown. And through this fragment, through this experience of life from a completely another standpoint, I was able to hugely expand my vision of the world and our own soul's journey through this dimension. But it all started when I left for Mexico. I did so because I knew I had to, and let me explain this a little bit more. I have always, my whole life, I have always been led by, I have let myself be led by my own inner guidance, by my own GPS. Even in the moments when it has taken me to places I had no idea of what it meant. And in this case, in the case of Mexico, well, this was precisely the situation. I had no idea why my inner guidance was leading me to Mexico, but I had many synchronicities happening during 2 to 3 years almost, and all of them pointed in the same direction. All of them. By the time I knew nothing about Mexico, nothing, besides the fact that it was a very old, ancient civilization, and that the land was filled with pyramids. And of course, this fact by itself was almost enough for me, because I have always, as long as I can remember, been extremely attracted by ancient cultures, and I always feel most at home when I am in a very ancient culture. The original plan was to leave for 1 year, and during that year I would study art, specifically fiber art, which by the time, and this was in the early 90s, by that time fiber art was almost unknown on the map, but somehow I felt that fiber art was something that talked to my own fiber. And this is partly because I had been born in the countryside. So of course, as any child who has been born had that fortune to be born in the countryside, well, we have a natural understanding of plants and nature, basically, no? So I was, as I said, born in Europe, and I had been, up till then, only living in Europe. I had been traveling quite a lot, but I had only lived in Europe. And as we all know, Europe, even if it has many differences, especially between the south and the north, there are certain basic understanding of life which we all share. So it's quite easy to go from one country to the other and still feel quite comfortable. By the time I was planning to leave, I was in a very, very good place in my life. I was living in a very beautiful, beautiful place in the south of Sweden. And I was involved in all kinds of interesting activities, creative activities, and I also was surrounded by the most extraordinary, interesting people. So I was in a very, very good spot. Meaning I did not leave because I wanted to escape something. No, quite the contrary. Beside this fact, I had had for some time an inner feeling of that something was missing, and I did not know what this missing part was. I had no idea whatsoever. But I did know that which was missing could not be found in Europe. That I had a complete clarity about that. So, with these two facts at hand, I knew I was supposed to find something, and that my inner GPS was pointing towards Mexico. Well, it was quite easy to start to make the move. So then, a December morning, I was ready, and I had packed the most necessary things in a small backpack, and off I left to what I thought was another country on another continent, but in fact I was actually leaving for another galaxy, I would say. The next day I arrived to Mexico City, and I take a cab to the inner city of the town, and I fell in love. It was love at first sight, completely. I think there is actually only two ways that one can respond to the culture of Mexico. I think we either hate it or we just love it from the first sight. And well, I definitely are the one that truly loved it from the first sight. I loved everything. I loved the colors. I loved the noise. I loved the chaos. I loved this vibrant vitality which penetrated absolutely everything. The enormous diversity which you could see wherever you looked, and it was like all this diversity, all these layers of society was constantly boiling together in a huge cauldron, we could say, and everything was always moving. It was an enormous sensation of vitality in everything. And I also understood from the very beginning that what I had in front of me was something I had no clue about. I truly understood that I did not understand a thing, and that it probably would take me quite a while to start to actually crack the code, so to speak. And as Salvador Dalí, the famous Spanish surrealist painter, so eloquently said, he lived in Mexico for a very short while. But as he said, well, Mexico is much more surreal than my art. And of course, he didn't like that. He truly didn't like to be on second place. So, after a few days in Mexico City, I leave for my destination, which was a small colonial town in northern Mexico City, like 3 hours from Mexico City, called San Miguel de Allende, where I arrived the next day, and I went straight up to the school, which I already had decided before I came. There was very, very few places in the early 90s where you could actually study fiber art, because it was still very, very, very unknown subject in any school, and this was one of them where I could, and there I came. I signed up, and I was now inside. The school was located inside an old monastery from the 15th century, I think it was. And the mayor building was a exquisite piece of architecture, which was so beautiful. Even if I wouldn't have been a pupil, I could have been sitting there all day long, all day long. Anyway, I signed up, and there I was now in a situation where of course, I didn't speak any Spanish, none at all, at my arrival. So I was in a Spanish-speaking classroom. There was no one who spoke English. And I was trying to absorb, listening, trying to start to understand something. This was the first impact I had of trying to truly absorb the language. Simultaneously, I was also trying to start to work with a material which was also unknown to me, and this I could not speak, I could not understand anything, so I just had to do it through looking and imitating, actually. Whatever they did, I did the same. And of course, I also was, I had inserted myself in a culture which was completely unknown. So the codes to this culture, how they behave, and how everything works in a completely another kind of existence. Everything was new. And so my body, my mind was working over time, and everything, my senses, my body, everything was working over time. There were many days I felt like my brain was boiling from everything it's trying to process, try to make sense of, and taking all this into account, one would believe that I would have been exhausted each and every day after a long day in class. But the fact was quite the contrary, and that I find extremely interesting. I had up till then never, ever felt so energized. Never. And I'm reminding you, I had been working with very, very creative things before, but this level of energy I had never experienced. It was a feeling like I would have been connected directly to the ultimate source of energy. And this energy was spreading through my body, each and every, like to every cell of my body, each moment of the day. It was the most amazing feeling. I had such vitality, I could hardly sleep. And now you think, well, she couldn't sleep like for a week. No, I did hardly sleep for a whole year. I was so extremely energized. I didn't even need to sleep. I jumped out of the bed in the morning. I was always the first at place to start the day, and I was always also the last to leave. I had an enormous amount of energy. And this is what made me understand that when we are truly, truly in tune with ourselves, when we let ourselves be led by our own inner guidance to a place, situation where we can take our own knowledge, because what I was using was my own knowledge, forgotten knowledge, but still it was my own knowledge, which I was now being able to take to a new expression, use it in a new manner, taking it to a new octave. When we do this, when we allow ourselves to be led and able to experience this, we are truly connected to an endless source of energy. If I would never have experienced this, I would not believe it would be true. And I think so many people who have never experienced this, they probably think, well, this is something that only a few people ever now and then can experience. This is only for a few selected ones. No, that's not sure. That's not true. We all have access to this. All of us, because we all have this latent knowledge, this inner knowledge and these inner talents which we have still not untapped. We all have it. We all have it. Do we need to go to the other side of the world? No, of course not. Of course not. We can find it much closer. But in my case, this was necessary. This is completely possible for every one of us. For every one of us. For every one of us. And if I hadn't given myself this experience, if I hadn't let myself be led, I would never have believed this to be true. No, I would not believe this to be true. So, this is what I was talking about when I talked about evolution. The word evolution comes from the Latin word evolvere, which means taking something from one state to another, taking something to a new octave. Our energy, our vitality doesn't depend so much upon what we eat or how much exercise we do each day, etc., etc. All these outer things we think are so important. It has much more to do with a sense of meaning. That we feel a complete sense of meaning with what we are doing in the day. Expansion from our soul's perspective is not so much about outer accumulation, which today we consider to be progress, but a feeling of evolution, that we take our own inner knowledge to a new expression. Yes? This is something I wish everyone would give themselves the gift to experience at least once. At least once. Well, I think that would do for today. I hope something of this made sense to you and somehow could nourish your soul. Well, this will do for today. I'm so happy, I'm so thankful for everyone who has been here. Thank you so much. And I have no idea what the next episode will be about. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Thank you so much for today. Take care and see you soon. Bye. Bye.